Hey, welcome back to CodeStories. Today I'm going to be having my second guest on the podcast. His name is MoBerries. He is the founder of MoBerries, and MoBerries is an automated candidate resource platform, and it has revolutionized the recruitment business. MoBerries uses AI-based algorithm to match their candidates with the best business and tech jobs in Europe without cover letters or any cost. I got my first job offer through MoBerries with just a couple of months of programming experience. All right, let's go. Hey Mo, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for letting us be here.
Sure. You're welcome. Actually, I'm really surprised that we were able to meet and make this happen because before you were here, before I actually got in touch with you, I was thinking, is this guy ever going to reply to my message? And so I saw your LinkedIn profile, and I just text you, and I'm hoping that maybe he's going to reply, maybe he's not going to reply. And he definitely have things that are much better to do, things much more important, much more interesting than reply to a random guy on LinkedIn. And a few hours later, you replied, and I was like, wow. And so you said you want to do this podcast. And I'm so happy that we actually got to this point where we want to make this happen, and it's happening right now. Thank you for coming.
I feel very gracious to elucidate such a response from you. That I can say I'm proud maybe of the past me or the people I work with, that you see so much esteem in organizing a meeting with myself, but the roses go back to you because it was all about a really professional approach. And if your body of work is there, and for me, it's not about the clout in terms of, okay, this person has this many viewers or this or that. It's, I try to find the next pedigree, the next pedigreed horse, or the person who's going to be at their pinnacle before they achieve it. And just by what we're seeing here from the setup and how you approach this craft, I mean, why wouldn't I do it?
Thanks.
It's like buying in on a company early on.
Yo, thanks. Thank you very much. So you Mo?
Yes.
And what else do you want to share with the audience? Who are you?
The easiest way to answer that is I'm Mo, originally Mohammed Mubarak. Okay. Most people know me as Mo because they can't get that ha noise out. But the best thing to know about me is what can I get to know about you to elevate together. I think that's the best way. I love to build, and when I mean build, I like to design history. And the best way to do that is to, in the present, meet people to do next level stuff with, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Perfect sense. And how long have you been in Germany?
I've been in Germany since, I would say, like 2009, 2010.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And so you're the founder of MoBerries, right?
Yes, I am the founder, but the thing is, I don't really find great value in titles like founder or anything like that. I just like to be known for what my unit is, and that's business development, right? I feel like everybody at our company, this might sound a little different, holds a great value because they attribute something. And I don't want somebody to speak to me differently or to assume anything just because I have a founder title. I don't find solace in that.
All right, cool. And so how do you came up with,
You need a nice moment.
That's live.
There you go. So, that's how you know.
How do you came up with MoBerries? So you woke up one morning and was like, hey, I want to do this? Or was it like something you always had in your mind? Or something you always have like envisioned, something always wanted to do?
I think the best way to explain that is when you look for the forest and not the trees, you have a bigger picture of what you want to, you look for yourself in life and you watch. And I think when I talk to you about the forest, not the trees, it's like going to an art gallery, and maybe you go to that art gallery on day one, maybe when you're 8 years old, and that painting means something to you. Then you go there when you're 14. That painting means something else to you, and you begin to see it in a different light with every progression. And then at one point, maybe, who knows, you step back and you see what you define as the forest, the bigger picture, because you're able to appreciate it. And I would say that the best way to explain it is when you grow up in a circumstance where you begin to understand the the community element of people and why we're actually here in this state of consciousness, you want to design something that can elevate others.
Cool, nice. And so you want to like give us some insight what Mulberry is about, and
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Jerry Maguire?
no, I
Okay.
don't think so.
I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. Do you
All
know
right.
who Tom Cruise is?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. I can honestly say right now that that's probably Tom Cruise's best acting movie. That's going to get me in trouble.
All right. Okay.
Okay, but it's Jerry Maguire is a movie which is supposed to mirror the real life of Drew Rosenhaus. He's an NFL sports agent, and he represents his client. Cuba Gooding Jr. plays an athlete who's at the tail end of their career and is looking for a contract, but his house is broken down. His family needs it. It's generational, but nobody wants to take a risk on him. Nobody wants to represent him. And at the same time, Jerry writes this. He writes this like memorando at the start of the movie about we should treat clients differently. We shouldn't think about the agency. It's all about the people, and you have to put your ethics first. And he gets fired. And then, ironically, the only person who will take a risk on him to represent him is this guy. And this whole movie is not just about the progression of one person's career, but when you invest in somebody, how you can build friendships and you can impact. Like Jerry goes on and he has that typical Hollywood life before, and then he finds his one true love, and it all comes because of this process. And so, growing up with different type of immigrants and people from different backgrounds, I said, "Hey, how can I apply the Jerry Maguire effect to regular people's life, if that makes sense to
Yeah.
you?"
Yeah. Perfect sense. Cool. And so how long have Mulberries been around?
So, how long we've been around on paper versus how long we've been around is two different questions. I would tell you we've been doing this for over a decade, and we officially put this down on paper. I think it was in about 2015.
Oh.
Yeah. The type of person and the people that I roll with, we are very goal oriented people. We don't think about like past. We just think about, okay, we've arrived at this marker. What's next?
All right. Cool. Nice. And so from all places, why did you choose Germany?
Simply said, I mean, I'm blessed to be Canadian, and I understand the beauty of that and what that like really represents. Especially, I'll tell you the truth, I'm even more blessed to have grown up in Toronto. But to me, in my opinion, it's just, we all listen to different types of music in life, and we get with the jazz. And I identify with Germany, and I believe Germany is the best country in the world. I think the social element of Germany and how it adapts to the changing demands of the world, but also has a platform for people of different backgrounds and ethnicities to be able to actually build a life and sustain it. And especially, I think Berlin is very unique because Berlin is what I would call a canvas city. It's a pillar city in arts, globally recognized. I mean, I always go back to David Bowie, and I was like, who's David Bowie before Germany, right? And it's a place where all different type of people can come, live their best life, and find their narrative. So I think it's about being at the right place at the right time, and I love it.
All right, cool. So actually, we're going through a crisis more or less right now. And how have you been? How has Mulberry's been dealing with this crisis? You guys are working from home, most likely, I guess. Yeah.
That's a good question, but I'd like to preface that, if it's okay, with a different interpretation. I think personally in life, if you look at it glass half full or half empty, regardless, you need to fill it up,
Yep.
right? And so we're going in a crisis right now that affects us. But if you really look deep enough, this is one of the first times in a long time where we don't have the ability as Western countries
Yeah.
to just be like, I turn this off. This doesn't affect me today. I go back to watching football. I go back to doing what I'm usually doing. Oh, am I finding love? Because that's what I need to be, these types of things. But now, for the first time in a long time, we're part of the global fabric and it affects us. So for me to say crisis, okay, it requires changes in our lifestyle, whatever, because you're part of a community, right? And for you to be a patriot or a part of your country to protect your people that are living under pretty much the same roof, you have to follow the rules. But as a company, I believe sound companies are built on great cash flow management, and they're built on sound operational excellence where people really put effort into a plan and sticking to that plan. So one thing I don't understand is how, what are we, like, let's say not even 90 days into this
Yep.
and there's companies going broke.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah.
What does that say about your CFO? What does that say about your CEO? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, good point. Because I was actually surprised how many companies weren't prepared for this, especially when it comes to working from home, remote work. And for example, in our church, we were already doing video streaming 5 years ago, like long time ago. We were already doing this, and so when this things, uh, this Corona thing came along, we were like, hey, no problem. We can do Sunday service or video streaming, and it's like amazing to, almost hilarious to see that churches, not only our church, but I've seen other churches who are doing this, who are like, no problem. We have audio streaming, video streaming, absolutely no problem. And it was like really strange to see that churches were more prepared than so-called IT companies. It was.
The I agree with you there. You know why I believe that's the case? Because the church is purpose driven, right? But if the IT or digital company, their job is to put window dressing on looking like that pretty pig, that looking like the county pig that says that's the winner, that's the one, rather than not actually being the one. You see what I mean? See, I mean, probably not the best example to bring up, but Mike Tyson always used to say everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And so I think times like these really show what do you have in your bag of tricks,
Yeah.
because this is what the market is. The market is a free flowing thing, and there's always winners and there's always losers. And even when you're losing, your job is to figure out how to hold on until you win. This is nature that we've built.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Um. So how big is MoBerries right now?
So one thing we really pride ourselves on is trying not to over hire people, but try to always work on automated tasks, and then getting specialists at roles. So right now our team is about 23 in total, and that varies across tech, sales, account management, marketing.
So what's the difference between MoBerries and other, let's say, job platform? What makes MoBerries special?
That's that's a great question. Now, you have to look at what every job platform is servicing and where they fit today into the overall landscape. So you will have like a job board. A job board like Indeed, it is saturated, it has indexing in the market, and it can drive you traffic, and you can further filter. Now, then you can learn how to optimize that board. That's one thing. Then you have, for example, like recruiters who go out there and they focus pretty much on generating leads and hunting them down like a salesperson. That's really what recruiting is today. And then the main thing is then you have now organizations that have popped up in our time, which are about the future, which are upskilling, retraining, and getting people there. So those are different types of ways that they develop and connect talent. The thing about MoBerries, what makes it unique, and I'll go back to Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire needs to know about what makes his client unique, right? He's got an old guy. He's got to find the right coach to put him in a system, and to get the coach in the system to make it work for him so he can get that money in that contract year. It's in the last year. He's got to identify unique traits of this person, because the one thing that I think is really wrong today is that we still see, in terms of, at least in my business of recruiting, is we look at people like cattle, and they're going through a pasture, and we're saying, okay, this guy's a marketing profile, this is this, this is that. But the whole lines of requirements have become blurred. And so what we're able to do is, just like that sports agent, we've developed what we call neural network, and it learns from interactions. So even though you might have a background in sales, but you're more technical now, you've done the schooling in technical stuff, whatever, it'll learn that, hey, he's turning down those positions and why he's turning them down, and it applies that learning. So it's just really like a sports agent for regular people, and we've built it to feel personal.
Yeah, cool. So actually, I got to know MoBerries a couple of months ago,
Yeah.
and I never heard of MoBerries. So I was in a meetup, and there was this lady who organized the meetup, and I talked to her, shared my story with her, and I told her that I'm looking for a job as a developer, trainee, junior, whatever. I just want to do something related with software development. And she told me, "Hey, check out MoBerries." And I was like, "Mo what? MoBerries? What's that?" It's like, yeah, it's this platform where you can upload your CV and put in some data about yourself, and just give it a try. And when I got home, I did exactly what she said, and I wasn't expecting much because I was just into software development for about a couple of months, 4 or 5 months, and I wasn't expecting anybody to reply. And the really cool thing that you don't need cover letters because I hate cover letters, and I just upload my CV and what I'm interested in, and a couple of weeks later, not weeks, days, a couple of days later, company like, hey, I saw you interested in one of our positions and would like to invite you to an interview. And I was amazed. And so for you guys who are listening, that's actually how I got my very first job offer. So I was interviewed by these guys, and so if you want to know more about that, you can just go to my YouTube channel and check out my video series on how I became a software developer, and you can see get more details about that. But I just wanted to mention that because I was amazed how easy it was to get in touch with companies who are looking for talents, who are looking for people. Yeah.
Um, that's that actually is the thing that we really do this for, is the human to human interaction. That's why I compare myself to a sports agent rather than get caught up in the technology. I think today the buzzword of the day is always AI, machine learning, this and that. But regardless of whatever tech stack you have, what does it do? Does it create an interaction? Does it, when a designer creates a website, does it evoke an emotion in you? Did our product do? And the greatest thing about that is that somebody recommended it to you, right? But for us, why it works is because we've specialized with this neural network effect in something called talent redistribution. The whole point of companies in history is they built these things called talent pools. So they'll say, "Hey, you were all right, but we don't have anything. Maybe we'll get back to you." The whole point with that is our piece of technology can build you and manage your talent pools now. So in real time, it tap and it'd be like, "Hey, you're all right, but we have this smart talent pool." And what we do is just like that agent, they're like, "Oh, they didn't hire you? Let's find out why they didn't hire you to see if we can improve that. Or if you come in fresh, our system compares similar past kind of CVs and interactions as you kind of reject or decline or accept the jobs, and then it starts to make you tailored suggestions. And that's, I really believe, is all about how we can promote that direct human to human. Now, why we know you're active at that point and we got you on interactions, we're able to push you into their software if they accept you, and you go right into the intro phase. So you skip like about 2-3 levels of what we call the sourcing funnel, because you've already done a level of pre-filtration. And we generate that analytics to help you find a job. And what we're releasing now within the next 90 days is something we've been sitting on for 2 years. That's crazy. Now we're talking, is candidate feedback. We now will tell a candidate, we can tell them, you need to work on this. You need to do that. Because again, it's all about, I'm your agent. I'm here to represent you. I need you to help me at scale, make you competitive with the market.
Nice, really cool. And there was something you mentioned in one of your videos. I stalk people before
It's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
I stalk people before I let them hear, let them come into my place. And you mentioned something. You said you care about the underdogs. You care about people who are stuck. And as a self-taught developer, we self-taught developer, we are underdogs. We are those who doesn't have the right connection, who doesn't have the papers, and who doesn't have the degrees. And still, there's a platform out there like MoBerries who think about these people and say, "Hey, we can bring you there."
Um, okay. I'm gonna be really honest with you right now. Um, so I've lived a journey of great personal development and how would we say reflection. I think that all greatness at some point was the underdog. And do you know why it became great? This is seriously what I really believe in my heart. That in the darkest of moments, in somebody's personal battles, okay, we've all been there where we're in a dead job and it's like you see the walls caving in. You're maybe in an empty relationship. Your life isn't giving you what you want. And that's when that darkness creeps in. That's the worst darkness because it comes from within you. And there's some people who buckle, right? And I'm not here to be on this motivational porn trip where I'm just gonna but I really believe that the people who don't give into darkness, they decide I'm going to be great and I'm going to do something. In this moment, it's like a poker hand. I'm going to double down on myself and I'm going to create a new door to walk through. And so that's why I care about the underdog. Like, I'll give you an example. Growing up, I say I watch people. So let's go back to Jerry Maguire here, and we'll look at the athlete who's looking. To me, for example, I grew up in a multicultural environment. I remember one place where he lived in Toronto. I would see like women of different background, even women originally from Africa, and they would have families, like 4 or 5 kids. They would go, they would clean buildings, they would do all this hard work, and they'd come home, they'd feed them in an attempt to give them a better life. I sit there, and after a while, I think, hey, look, you've been doing this job for 15, 20 years. There is no way that you haven't proven your trust to an organization, that you don't have any other form of requisite skill, right? That you can earn more somehow. But who's giving you that tool to tell you that? Today, we're in a blessed time because now the hype is I can go to a code school and they'll take some money, some investment, but they'll teach me a skill. But who's doing that for the working class people? Because the thing is, if you're able to impact that woman who has 4 or 5 kids, that whatever, if her earning power increases, that has a drastic effect on her children's life, because that goes right back into the family unit, you know? So, and that goes with anybody. And I think that comes from actually having like an immigrant background and being to understand that generationally things change, and also like fighting the war against negative data.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, what are your plans for MoBerries? Are you guys looking forward to bring something much bigger? Because right now, you guys are really doing a great job. And is this something like some secret plans?
There are always plans. But yeah, I'll give you an inside look under the engine. In the last 2 quarters, what we've been able to do is scale up with our partnership with SAP to work with larger base organizations in terms of what MoBerries, the pre-filter of what I explained to you, how people pass through our system and we label them. We sit on Germany's largest sourcing labeling database that there is, in terms of being able to help people achieve where they want to go. So if somebody comes to me and says, we have partnerships, for example, with Ironhack to help their candidates get into the marketplace. We have a lot of built up knowledge in terms of transactability with talent redistribution and our connections with applicant tracking systems. The whole future of what we see is we're an analytics first company. We focus on sourcing, but we can out of the box give anybody data driven methods. So even if you're a junior recruiter, we see our core customer as we service both ends. What makes us unique is that we're a B2C and B2B company, because we have to acquire clients to improve our experience for our candidates. The better the clients, the better the experience, right? But at the same time, we see our target person as recruiters. Our target person we sell to recruiters, CFOs, COOs, CEOs, people who are trying to take their organization and kind of either turn a large ship in terms of we need to get digital, acquire younger or diverse talent. We need to, in terms of diverse talent with new skill sets, we need people where we can redistribute our old talent but find other companies to distribute them into. We will be the Moody's of human resources. I don't know if you're familiar with financial trading.
No, no.
So Moody's, what it does is it goes into the market and it rates every stock bond. It rates every stock, every bond, and it gives it like a health score. And it tells investors, should we invest in this or not?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And with our larger companies, what we show them is that applying our filter to different channels and our analytics, how you're able to reduce cost over time, but also that ability is how to target the right person in terms of being able to skill them and that somebody will stay in your organization. And yeah, we build networks for this.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's like, these are the things we work on. But the thing is it's a mountain without a peak, and we have to keep going. Like, I think the number one thing is, don't keep your eyes on where you are today, that tomorrow is sowed in the actions of today. And if you don't have a big vision, if your vision doesn't scare you and what you want to be doesn't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. All right, we go like this whole concept of the forgotten. Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example right now, and which is why I blurted fake data. There's this misconception in the world. One of the things I fight against, let's get at this. One of the things I fight against are people who say the developed world and the developing world. Okay, that's very archaic, and people want to tell you, oh, it's negative, da da da. The real way in today's modern society, because of automation, what is happening is to view somebody as, oh, this even ties into Corona, because it's like, oh, they're from the developing world. Of course, they have a higher rate of mortality, or they're not as educated, or this or that. But I really recommend a book. I believe his name is Jans Olsen. It's called Factfulness. And the real facts will show you that you shouldn't divide people into developing, non-developing. It's actually, you have 4 buckets. There are 1 billion people who live on under $1 a day. Their house is pretty much like a tent. There are the next bucket, they live better and better. And it shows you that in every country, you're not defined necessarily by just, oh, these people are all poor, they're from this country. No, there's diversity across them. There's people in a country you would think, okay, they don't have money, but there are people in the middle class who dream about going to Disneyland for vacation. So standards are different. The reason I'm bringing this up to you is this is what makes me unique to the people in my space. The people in my space are trying to sell people as a commodity, because that's how you should. That's the traditional model. But see, what I understand is the future is the middle class. The real facts are, I believe we add 160 million new people. No, 60 million new people to the middle class every year. Okay? So the middle class is something where it's becoming harder and harder to get in and to stay there, right? What I care about is the real vision and mission behind our company is, I really believe we can end poverty. I believe that poverty, look, like during this Corona time, yeah, governments are just printing money. And you're asking yourself then, wait, why can't we have universal basic income? Why are there people, even in the developing countries, who are living under such a substantial living basis? And so the whole point is the job marketplace and public and private, they all need to work together and leverage proper data that can help people and not just be politically correct.
Amazing.
That's what we want to really do.
All right. So this year you have open positions in MoBerries, right? So I just checked, look into some of the positions, and I see uh, uh, junior sales, business development, inside sales. Are these positions, are they still open? Or can people apply for this position right now?
The thing is, somebody should apply, and it doesn't. It's not a thing about now, because the real reason is that, look, where I'm at right now is I want to build people who want to commit for a process. You know, it's like if you enter an Olympic training program, like I need at least 2 years of your time, okay? And then I will naturally work with you. So I think people should just apply, especially if you're really junior, but you're committed. Because like I said, if you're really committed and you understand that, excuse me, I'm going to have to eat some dirt when I start, but that's how I'm going to earn my keep and keep going, then I want to hear from you. You know, I always recommend, like, check out your process. Always reach out to me. I'm just a human. I didn't create, I didn't make. I'm blessed when people have good things to say about me. And if people have bad things to say about me, but they can't call me directly, then they don't really know me, right? So that's the thing. I'm always open. I'm in the business of connecting people. So reach out, please.
Nice. So MoBerries is actually very AI driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have like dedicated developers who
Yes.
always like something that's outsourced?
No. Every piece of technology, I think what has made us very successful is that we found a way to essentially growth hack doing AI with talent redistribution, right? But our job our job as founders or people who mold any sort of craft is to define a direction. And as you head off into that North Star, you will get better and better and better. And that's why I don't really believe in people say, oh, we hire the best from day one. No, from day one, you hire the best of what you can afford, right? But we've been able to get it there. And the reason is we have an incredible CTO, really, really smart at being calculated in terms of what move needs to be made where. And what makes us really unique is we're very project management driven in terms of, we really believe that you build a great company on operational excellence, cash flow management, and vision. And that's why we don't mind taking our time rather than rush, if that makes sense. And so
Makes sense.
everything has to be done in-house.
Nice. Surprised actually. I was thinking that this was an outsource, let's say, project. And for example, I heard about Google Cloud AI services. And
Yep.
it has this cloud talent solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking like maybe using something like that to to set up your
Of course, on the modeling side, I think our technical people would be great to speak to
yeah
get into deep detail
yeah
into how and what we do. But I can tell you that I'm always astounded at seeing the progress of the releases that we make, due to the fact that even from a technical perspective, we're very user centric, very, very user centric. And it's not like getting just lost in the data, but understanding how we can use it to, this is why we go in-house, really. Because another thing to think about, if you're going with Google or this or that, we're right now technically in kind of like an arms race. And I think, for example, Europe's GDPR kind of compliance stuff, in some sense, nobody will stand up and say this, is slowing us down versus the juggernaut that is China, and who's just going on a tear with everything AI, because they can set up and do what they want, how they want, and really run it. So, but for us is within the confines of what we have and how we can meet the standard of GDPR, how can we be user-centric in terms of analyzing activity, inputs, and how our platform can be refined.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
So
you.
before we close, how can as a, not only talents can benefits from MoBerries, but also companies, right?
Yeah.
So how does that?
So number one thing is that our customers or partners, whatever you want to call them, whatever floats your boat, people that work with us, is that we reduce their cost anywhere as low as 4.9% by utilizing real data-driven methods. And now the thing is that we're beginning to release it to them, so they can actually track their performance and where they've acquired candidates across all channels, and actually see how they can themselves optimize their strategy. And at the end of the day, we, like we said, just send us the roles, get them going in our system, and we will interact. Like, we'll make something happen for you. I think that's the best way to say it.
Nice, cool. All right. Do you have any closing statement for?
I think the number one closing statement I have is, now I try to go by a standard of good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better than your best. What is your credo? Like, what is your motto? Where you at? Like, I just want to know where you're at with that. Like, if you had one sentence to define what your hustle is right now.
Dependency injection and protocol delegates.
Wow. Wow. That's above my pay grade. That's for sure. But that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well said.
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.